Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
Point number one is for the Vikings to stay in that 7th position in the playoff hunt, they have to protect Kirk Cousins at all costs. They were done dirty by the Bears' defensive line today. And you know what? Coming into this game, I mean, we all talk about all the close games the Vikings have lost and they could have won. Well, the ones they won, the reason was because Kirk has protected the football. And the reason he did that, coming into the game, this offensive line has given it the least amount of sacks. They were not on their best today, and they got the Rams coming up, the Packers D-line, and then the Bears again. They got to protect Kirk Cousins so he can protect the football.
Protect that football. It's going to be tough. If you missed it on the Scoop session on Mackey and Judd, Doogie reporting cracked rib for Kirk Cousins, which might help explain. I mean, that was one of the worst games of his NFL career against the Bears on Monday night. But that thing ain't going to go away. Now, Drew Brees had like 5 cracked ribs or something. So like you can play with cracked ribs, but
it'd be
it's not going to be comfortable for
It'd be painful
for old Kirky boy. This is Purple Daily. We play through everything. Cracked ribs, COVID. Judge short-term memory is a mess. He doesn't even remember what we talked about. Like,
what are we talking about tomorrow?
That's a problem. That's a problem. 3 days ago, sense of taste and smell gone. Yesterday, everything smelled like burnt toast or sewage.
Oh,
that's the new thing.
Sewage.
Yeah,
I actually love the smell of burnt toast.
Wasn't that like the signs of a stroke, though? I don't know if I like that one.
Yeah, you know what? I actually, yes, and it's the regeneration of something in your nose, and your brain gets confused. Yeah, I mean, this is the actual sickness for me has not been bad. The side effects suck.
It's the 6th finger that you grew on your left hand that's been problematic. Damn. It's crazy.
I'm like, everything smells like burnt toast and sewage. What the hell?
New episode title: State of Judd. State of Judd instead of State of the Offense. State of the Judd.
I mean, if any doctors want answers, I'm here for you.
Yeah. Well, here's your answer. Maybe you should just start watching medical shows on your TCL TV, because TCL has a new lineup of award-winning TVs delivering the most entertainment with stunning resolution, all at an affordable cost. Enjoy more of the things you love with TCL. And it's a connected TV. It's connected to all the internet apps. So you can
watch us?
It's probably like a WebMD app or something on there. You can also
watch
us.
Mackey and Judd and Purple Daily.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. And we just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. And that's the prism through which we talk about this team on this show. And on Thursdays, we devote an entire episode to the state of the Vikings offense. And I've got 4 key offensive stats.
You like that? You like that?
For y'all. And I think the first one is going to launch a discussion here. So I'd like to throw the first one out, and then
we'll decide on that, Phil.
Go from there.
Yeah, we'll debate that.
Okay.
We'll decide if it's going to launch a discussion, or we're just going to be like, nah, okay, next stat.
No.
I also have a random Viking of the week for you guys later on that should be fun too.
1-game win streak for Dex.
So these are categories of stats here. The first category we're going to call Matthew Stafford versus Kirk Cousins and quarterback win-loss records. Okay. So those two guys are playing each other, and over the last 20 years, you could argue that Stafford and Cousins are really the 2 biggest examples of quarterbacks to put up great numbers. Like, you could find those guys on any list of Hall of Famers. Like, Matthew Stafford just became the fastest quarterback to get to 50,000 yards, and Cousins is, top 3 all-time completion percentage and top 5 passer rating, etc. But those stats haven't come with a lot of team success in their careers. In fact, Cousins' teams are exactly 500 over 100-plus starts. It's like 115 starts or something. And Stafford's teams over his career are actually 10 games below 500 over 179 starts, largely with the Lions. And so, a lot of numbers, not a lot of team success. There's definitely reasons why. My question's it's kind of a 2-part question for you guys. Why don't Kirk Cousins and Matthew Stafford's teams have better records over the last 10-plus years, considering the numbers they put up? Now, Stafford's team is 10-4 this year, and I think there's some major differences between the Lions and the Rams. But why don't their teams have better records? And how comparable are Stafford and Cousins?
Ooh. You know what? I'll bite. I will have a discussion. They are fairly comparable. I think I like Stafford a little bit more. But that being said, they are comparable. the question about why their teams don't have more wins is a little bit dicey because of Stafford being stuck with such a garbage franchise for so long. I mean, Detroit, I don't know how many people could be put in Detroit. And I'm talking about some pretty damn good quarterbacks and have been successful. So I don't know that the comparison there of like trying to be like, well, Stafford didn't win more in Detroit and Cousins didn't win more in Washington or with the Vikings. And here's the exact reason why. I think there's some shades of gray with Kirk, where with Stafford, I can basically say he played for just a crappy team and franchise that's been a mess for years, since before Matthew Stafford was born. So I think in Kirk's case, I think the biggest part of the problem here is it has been difficult to establish the infrastructure around Kirk because partially of how much Kirk is paid. People might be tired of hearing that, but it's a fact. Like it causes issues as far as building up the offensive line around Kirk. I think in Stafford's case, I would love to have seen a younger Matthew Stafford relocated to a good franchise.
Yeah.
Like how would Stafford, to flip the question back to you guys, how would Matthew Stafford have done here? Like if you'd put him here in 2008.
Yeah, and that it's funny you say that because, and by the way, we're losing Judd's connection a little bit there. Judd was, it's funny because we heard your voice 95%, but you were Mr. Roboto.
It was your infrastructure. Your infrastructure was not the best.
So we'll try to make a halftime adjustment here and clean that up. But to what Judd's saying, it's funny because like we think of the Vikings, rightfully so, as being a much more well-run, not a perfectly run organization, but a much better run organization than the Lions. But then we sit here with Kirk Cousins and we're like, well, but like look at all the garbage things around him. It's like, well, the Vikings aren't the Jets. The Vikings aren't the Lions. The Vikings aren't the Texans. They're not the Patriots, but you know, the Vikings have had pretty good rosters and some great weapons, and they've had, even with Kirk's first 2 years, a couple top 10 defenses. So I think Stafford is better than Cousins, despite having a worse quarterback wins, quote-unquote, record.
Right.
But now you're seeing Stafford, like the reason I say this is because you're seeing Stafford in part in a great situation that, in fairness, Cousins has never been with like an offensive guru like a Sean McVay with, you know, 3 or 4 great wide receivers. He's had maybe 2 great wide receivers at times with the Vikings. You know, Stafford's not perfect, but you're seeing what he looks like with everything surrounding him now. And he's still going to make mistakes. He's got like 10 picks on the season, but there's a reason why he was such a highly drafted player, and there's a reason why he's thriving so much in his first year with the Rams. So I think the biggest difference between Stafford and Cousins, to me, there's 2 things. When pressure mounts in a game, whether it's trailing in the fourth quarter or whether the defense is literally getting pressure on you, Stafford is better than Cousins in those situations. In fact, this year, Stafford is second in the NFL in yards per attempt when pressured. Cousins is 29th. That's a huge one right there. All quarterbacks face pressure. When they're pressured, can you overcome it to some extent? And the answer for Stafford has been yes this year. And then on the second thing for me is I think Stafford is more willing to take high upside risks. Like he's going to fit a ball into a tight window. There was a couple throws on that Tuesday night game this week that were like, wow, I don't think Kirk attempts that throw. Now Kirk's going to avoid making some mistakes. His interception totals might be lower because he's not going to take that chance. Stafford might have 10, 14 picks in the season where Cousins won't. But Stafford is going to have some bigger payoff throws in situations on third downs in games because he's just pushing the ball down the field more than Cousins does. So their careers are kind of in the same bin, but I think Stafford is a better quarterback than Cousins. Sorry.
Yeah, I think he's a better one too. But it does prove the point that if you put Stafford with Sean McVay, and now all of a sudden you're seeing the best version of Stafford because he has an offensive-minded coach and better infrastructure in general. And now, could that be Kirk if you hired a Kellen Moore? If you put him with Kyle Shanahan, what could it be, right? Like, that's always the what if with Kirk, because I do think they're similar. I think if I had an option, I would take Stafford over Cousins, but they mostly have been belonging in the same tier. Like, Stafford, even to his credit, I don't think up until this year, has never been in that first tier of quarterbacks. At best, he's been a tier 2, mostly a tier 3 QB.
Yep. All right, let's check on Judd here real quick. Let's check on
Mr.
Mr. Robato.
Am I better?
No. Nope.
You're doing Yamamoto, Mr. Rubato.
Sorry.
All right.
Let's put Judd
It's okay,
back in
Judd.
timeout here. Hopefully, random season recall doesn't end in a forfeit for Judd. Or I'm
No,
sorry,
I don't want-
random
well-
Viking of the week.
Yeah, I don't
end
want
in a
that to happen.
forfeit.
It's the last thing I want to have happen.
One last thought on QB wins or team win-loss records put on a quarterback, because that's what happens. Like, quarterbacks are the only players that have win-loss records attached to them. And of course, there's 53 guys on a roster, and it is a team sport, but quarterbacks have way more influence over the outcome of games than any other position by far. In fact, if you look at Vegas lines on a weekly basis, or Vegas futures, if you're looking ahead to like team win-loss records, quarterbacks will move lines by multiple points or multiple wins in futures. It doesn't really happen with other positions. Like J.J. Watt in his prime might have moved a line like a point or a point and a half if he was out. But top quarterbacks will move a line 3, 5, 6, 7 points. So you can't put wins and losses entirely on a quarterback, especially in the short term. Like, small sample size, Kirk Cousins got a win on Monday night. It's one of the worst games of his career. But over the course of 75, 100, 150 starts, a quarterback's influence, good or bad, will show up in win-loss records. When you look, we went over this stat a couple weeks ago on the state of the offense. When you look at the top 15 or so passer rating quarterbacks of all time, there's a reason why almost all of them are like 30, 50, 100 games over 500 or more in their careers, because they are, over the course of 10, 15 years, influencing wins on a regular basis. And I just think, so Kirk is the only one that isn't above 500 among the top 15. Matthew Stafford, I think, has been saddled in just a much more putrid situation with the Lions for 10 plus years, and I think it was hard to overcome the organization. You could say the same maybe for Kirk in Washington, but overall, quarterbacks are going to have an influence on wins and losses more than any other position, especially over the course of 75, 100, 100 plus starts. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm under the belief too, and it's more of a hotter take, but I do think quarterback wins is a stat. I know a lot of people are like, that's not a statistic. I do think it's a statistic. If it's over the right course and it's with the right people, look at Jimmy Garoppolo. When Jimmy Garoppolo starts, the 49ers win. I don't think that's necessarily a coincidence. It has a great infrastructure. Kyle Shanahan's a damn good coach. But Jimmy Garoppolo has won 70% of his starts when he starts for San Francisco. That's not a random fact. That's a stat. That's an actual stat.
yeah, well, I mean, hell, like there's a million examples in the last 10 or 15 years. Let me pull this list up real quick here. If you look at, let's say, Aaron Rodgers is a great example. He's 135 and 65.
Yeah.
And for many years, the Packers had bottom 10 defenses. They've had decent receivers, but very rarely have they had like a second stud receiver. They've had Devontae Adams and Jordy Nelson, but very rarely has he had like a second stud receiver. Very rarely has he had top defenses, like I said. Mike McCarthy was not that great of a head coach down the stretch, but because Aaron Rodgers is amazing, the Packers are 135 and 65. You can't say quarterbacks are valuable and you should pay $35-40 million for the quarterback and pay 20% of your salary cap, and then on the other side of your mouth be like, well, it's a team sport. Everyone's equal. All 53 positions are equal. It's like, well, then why do quarterbacks make so much more money than other players do? You can't really have it both ways. So.
No, not at all.
Should we check on Judd again?
All right.
Mr. Roboto.
I think
Oh, no.
No?
it's a little better. I
Judd,
just can't tell.
Give us your take on the Vikings right guard situation for 10 seconds, and let's see if you drop out.
Oh, the right guard situation for the Vikings is a complete mess. Who are we kidding? Who are we kidding? Mason Cole, by the way, not practicing now. He has an elbow injury. So, ladies and gentlemen, I give you against Aaron Donald, Oli Udoh, who might not be an improvement on Cole, but he can't be worse than Cole was against Akeem Hicks. So, what the hell? How is that?
It's like Judd's playing with a cracked rib or something right now.
Yeah,
he's
got a cracked rib.
Fighting through the cracked internet. He's his voice is coming through, but he is Mr. Roboto. So we're gonna keep you in the game, but we're gonna run the ball here, and we're gonna limit your throws. All right.
That sounds like a good idea.
Okay. Okay. Key offensive stat number 2, or category number 2. total offense, sum of the parts. So everything included, quarterback play, scheme, offensive line, run game, pass game, everything. I've got 3 different quantifications here. Number 1, yards per play. Now, last week, the Vikings were 5th. We led the show last week on Thursday, State of the Offense, saying the Vikings have a top 10 offense now, according to yards per play. Well, with that garbage performance against the Bears, they dropped from 5th to 13th in yards per play in the league. So, out of the top 10. Football Outsiders, DVOA, which basically ranks offenses with context. It's not about yards as much, it's about context. If it's 3rd and 13 and you gain 10 yards, congratulations, doesn't really count for as much. They've got the Vikings 14th in the NFL offensively, and PFF 12th in overall offensive grade. So 13th yards per play, 14th Football Outsiders, 12th in PFF grade. So basically a slightly above average offense that's outside the top 10. I don't know, man. Dex, I feel like this offense should be much more flirtatious with top 5 than top 10.
It should be in the top 10. And I don't know if that's Clint Kubiak just being inexperienced. I don't know if that's the offensive line now kind of showing more of its warts after a better start to what we thought it could be in the first few games. But this offense should absolutely be top 10. And then when you have a head coach that's more embracing running the football a ton and being a defensive first team, it's hard to embrace it. It's hard to go all in on it. And that's why I'm curious what the offense could look like, too, with the Kellen Moore, with an offensive-minded coach. Because, look, it's great that Dalvin Cook exists, and you should absolutely do everything in your power to establish Dalvin Cook because he's a damn good player. But when Dalvin Cook is still getting the ball a ton against a Bears defense that was playing practice squad players, and maybe Kirk's cracked rib in that game kind of changed up the game plan, you have to go aerial against a defense like that. And Akeem Hicks is a nasty player, dude. He makes a living killing the Vikings, but at the end of the day, Justin Jefferson can get open, KJ Osborne can get open. You can figure out ways to swing the ball to Dalvin Cook. It's literally like they became a conservative offense and they're going against a number 1 defense when that should have been an absolute aerial attack. So for them to drop out of the top 10, it's disappointing. And for them to be 11th and 12th with those weapons on offense is kind of unacceptable.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. And obviously the first nitpick would be offensive line. Okay, well, what if the offensive line was better? But I still feel like if you replaced Mike Zimmer and Clint Kubiak with people that actually know what they're doing offensively, Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur. Now, granted, he has one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, but if you had a real offensive mastermind and whiz, there's no way that they would rank outside the top 10 in yards per play, Football Outsiders DVOA, and PFF grade. I'm sorry.
Right.
They'd find ways to overcome some bad offensive line play, and they would find ways to push the ball down the field on a consistent basis as opposed to doing it for a couple games and then going back into a shell and then, getting all conservative. So, all right, key offensive stat category number 3, presented by our friends at Federated. Federated's been around helping business owners with basically offensive line protection. They're just trying to hold off potential risks that could kill the buzz of your company, so to speak. Federated, like I said, been around for over 100 years. They've got all kinds of tools, resources, and people you can tap into. So if you're a business owner and you listen to Purple Daily, check them out at federatedinsurance.com. And remember, at Federated, it's our business to protect yours.
Football.
All right? Category number 3 is Justin Jefferson versus Stefon Diggs. I think last year we saw Justin Jefferson and we were like, man, he might be almost as good as Stefon Diggs. So they basically traded Diggs for a haul and then replaced him with someone awesome. I think it's official now. Justin Jefferson is better than Stefon Diggs. He has 7 more. So they both played 14 games. JJ has 7 more catches, 300 more yards, and 1 more touchdown. And he's also averaging 3 more yards per catch. And Buffalo seems to be much more interested in a big-time passing game than the Vikings do, even though the Vikings have definitely ramped up their targets to JJ and deep passes. But by almost every statistical measurement, even if you go deeper in the weeds, JJ is better than Stefon Diggs, Dex.
I love me some Stefon Diggs. I know he exited here in an uglier fashion and not the way maybe he even wanted to if he looked back on it, but I think Stefon Diggs and Buffalo are facing an issue where Brian Daboll doesn't want to run the football. So now you have Josh Allen, who has turned into a lot better quarterback than I think a lot of people thought he was when he was first drafted. But now they become predictable. They become very one-dimensional on offense. And now that kind of forces, all right, if we take away Stefon Diggs, can just Josh Allen beat us? And I think that's what other teams have basically done with the Buffalo Bills. If take away Diggs, I know Cole Beasley's out now with COVID, but you basically have to make that offense becomes one-dimensional, and now Stefon Diggs doesn't look as strong as he did. I think Diggs is still a top 10, maybe even a top 5 wide receiver if you do those rankings. But through now almost 2 years since the Stefon Diggs trade, yeah, Justin Jefferson has jumped the shark. He's big. He's a better wide receiver than Stefon Diggs.
I mean, Rick Spielman's just getting blasted for bad offensive line again, and whiffing on some first-round picks. But they nailed the Justin Jefferson trade and the pick. Like, that's one of the biggest heist trades in Vikings history. Yeah. It's not quite the Herschel Walker trade, the opposite of Herschel Walker trade, but when it kind of reminds me of when the Twins traded A.J. Pierzynski back in the early 2000s to the Giants, and they wind up, I think they got Francisco Liriano and Joe Nathan and like Boof Bonza or somebody, but then they replaced A.J. Pierzynski with Joe Mauer, who was already in the Twins system.
Right.
And so, like, you traded, and Pierzynski was one of the better catchers in baseball at the time, but, like, absolutely no downgrade, and you got other assets to go along with it. So, all right, let's check on Mr. Roboto here. Let's see, did he fix the internet glitch? Judd, give us your take.
It's a complete reboot this time. Everything is rebooted. There is nothing else I can
Give us your
reboot.
take on 90s sitcoms.
Oh, they were, for the most part, atrocious and terrible.
What? What do you mean? Full House.
Top 3 90s sitcoms from Judd Zolgad.
Family Matters.
Yeah.
Step by Step. Boy Meets World.
No.
I love
yeah, you know what?
World.
Boy Meets World.
Perfect Strangers.
Great show.
Boy Meets World was no. Perfect Strangers. No. No. Friends overrated massively.
Oh,
I agree. It's overrated.
we're on a break. We are on a break.
I don't hate it, but it's overrated. Yeah, you know what? David Schwimmer. Oh my God, that hangdog, puppy dog, lost look. Oh my God.
I think he's back, folks. He's back.
I rebooted every possible thing. I'm 52. I was literally running around my room, unplugging everything.
I'm so proud of you.
Plugging it back in. Stella helped me out. She's IT here.
Amazing.
She's like, "What are you doing? You're an idiot."
Well, and he's arrived just in time to tell the audience how he's lost 30 pounds before the holiday season, which is
what? That's why I'm
amazing.
back.
Yeah.
I'm not back for you guys. I'm not back for the Vikings. The Vikings can forget them. I am here because of my friends at Livia Weight Control Centers. And as Phil just alluded to, the fact that I've gone from around 240 pounds just a couple months ago to 210, feeling fit and happy and for me trim. And that's all because of my friends at Livia. And I want to tell you about their deal that you can right now save 50% off the program with your first visit being free. A limited time offer that, look, it's December 23rd. Call now, ladies and gentlemen, because this offer ends literally today. This can get you on the track to being in much better shape, feeling good about yourself, learning how to eat, and then keeping the weight off. 855-GO-LIVIA, livia.com, LIVEA. Spell it with me. LIVEA.com. 855-GO-LIVIA. Do it today. I'm serious. This offer ends today. 50% off the program. At least find out right now how you can join to get on track for the new year.
There it is. All right. And so to catch Judd up here, key offensive stat category number 2 was total offense, sum of the parts. Yards per play, Vikings are now 13th. Football Outsiders has them 14th, according to DVOA, and PFF grade has them 12th. So by all these measurements, the Vikings offense is slightly above average at this point in the season and outside the top 10, which we both agreed seems like. I know there's some flaws here and there, but like, come on now. And then Justin Jefferson is decidedly better than Stefon Diggs was category number 3. And here's category number 4. It's called run-pass ratio. Let's have some fun with run-pass ratios. So overall, the Vikings lean run-heavy. They are 19th in pass percentage, just percentage of plays that are passes versus runs. The Vikings pass the ball on 57% of plays, which again ranks 19th The Buccaneers are number one. They pass almost 70% of plays with a 44-year-old quarterback just slinging it around the lot.
Yeah.
Didn't work too well against the Saints last week, but
Yep.
okay, on second down, which is kind of the swing down, right? You can a lot of different.
That's a
pretty
rundown.
much all the plays are available. You could
it's a
get
rundown,
tricky. The Vikings agree with Judd. It is a rundown. The Vikings are one of the most run-heavy teams on second down. They are tied for 4th in second down run rate. So if you think you see a lot of run, pass, the stats would prove that. On second and long, so okay, we got stuffed on first down. We either had an incomplete pass or we ran into the line of scrimmage and gained nothing, right? So now it's 2nd and 8 or longer. 2nd and 10, 2nd and 12. And the Vikings are also tied for 4th in run rate on 2nd and long. So, keep pounding that rock. Get it to 3rd and 4. I think part of the problem with the Vikings' offensive philosophy, Mike Zimmer's and Clint Kubiak's, is they think about second down as how do we make it 3rd and manageable, as opposed to how do we get a big play or just get a first down on second down. Like the Vikings are thinking about 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3. How do we get to 3rd and 5, 3rd and 3? And top offenses are thinking, how do we get like 12 yards on this second down play? How do we chunk one for 20 and not have to deal with 3rd down?
It does feel like in watching games the last couple weeks with the Vikings not playing on Sunday, it does feel like there's an inordinate amount of teams that think like that. Like I saw a lot more 2nd and 15 runs than I expected. And
if we could just make it 2nd and 3rd and 10.
It just seems like such a mismanaged, conservative, safe down call. Like, why wouldn't you, to your point, why wouldn't the goal be, let's try and get the first down and let's make it, let's say 3rd and 2. Like worst case, we still get a big chunk back as opposed to let's get 8 back or let's get 7 back. It's weird.
Yeah. So those are your 4 key offensive stats there for this week. If you guys have thoughts, who would you you think next 3 years, Stafford or Cousins? Who would you want? Drop us a line in the YouTube comment section on Purple Daily. But it's time for the main event here now, boys. No disrespect to state of the offense here, but this is the showdown that everyone's been waiting for here. The random Viking of the week, the 19th edition. Judd leads 12-6 so far over Declan. Declan snapped Judd's 4-game winning streak by guessing Daryl Bevell correctly last week. Judd's praying right now. Praying to the football gods.
I'm meditating to the football. I'm meditating. One with football, one with pigskin.
Meditation with hands clasped.
One
Football.
One with Spurgeon win, one with Jerome Wiggin.
One with pigskin, 2nd and long, run, be free.
All right. So here's how this works if you're new to the show here. So I will throw out a series of clues. You guys each get 3 incorrect guesses before you are eliminated. And if you want to ask me a question, you can. I can choose whether or not I want to answer it. It's that simple. This random Viking of the week originally hails from Mobile, Alabama.
Home of the Senior Bowl.
He was actually born 3 months premature as well. I would think it's a long shot to get to the NFL if you're born 3 months premature. I mean, it's a long shot to get to the NFL anyways, but he overcame being born 3 months premature. This random Viking of the week played college football in the SEC. This random Viking of the week once made the USA Today All-Joe team, which honors unsung players who have never made a Pro Bowl, but who made an impact that season.
Okay.
This random Viking of the week played 10 years in the NFL with 2 different teams. During high school, this random Viking of the week was a standout track and field star. I'll even give you the details on, because you might be thinking, wow, was he a shot put guy or was he a sprinter? What was he?
Oh, yeah,
right?
thank you. That'd be good. Yeah, right. Yeah, good call.
Because if he was like a shot putter, you might think, oh, maybe he was a linebacker, or
what
you
events?
never know. So he competed in the 100-meter dash and long jump at the 2004 Junior Olympics.
Okay.
2004.
And I don't think Judd's Googling. I think he's just taking notes.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
So the audience. Okay.
I'm writing down the clues.
Yeah,
Okay. This random Viking of the week was a 7th-round pick, but not by the Vikings.
Seventh round pick, but not by.
If this random Viking of the week were to partake in a trip to the casino, and I don't know if that's the case, I'm guessing his favorite games are slot machines. Declan, have a guess?
So now we know the position he even. Well, no, hold on. 7th round pick. I do have a question.
Okay.
The random Viking of the week is never a current Viking, correct? It's always a former Viking or employee.
To this point, they've all been former Vikings, and I will tell you this random Viking of the week does not play for the Vikings right now.
Okay.
And I'll even give you this random Viking of the week does not currently play in the NFL.
Okay.
Okay, so we're 10-year veteran, retired.
Yeah. Yeah, this is
Two teams.
2 teams. This random Viking of the week, in terms of his Vikings tenure, only played for Mike Zimmer.
I got a guess.
I got one too.
Darius Wright.
Judd's wrong.
No, my guess is off. He was playing before 2004.
This random Viking of the week played defense.
Yeah. It's definitely a defender.
I see where Judd was going there. I see where Judd was going there.
All right, you know what? I will throw it out. Terrence Newman.
He played for more than 2 teams.
This random Viking of the week had one of the coolest names in Vikings history.
Shoot.
This random Viking of the week, in terms of the other team he played for them twice.
Wait, what do you mean? Say that again.
So he
He played for 3. He played for.
He had three
go
stints.
rounds.
3 stints. One was with the Vikings, and the other
Okay.
2 stints were with the same team, bookending his Vikings tenure.
Oh, God.
Mike Zimmer looked at the 2013 Leslie Frazier Vikings and said, we need an actual
Captain
professional
Munnerlyn.
to come
Captain
in. There it is.
Captain Munnerlyn. Captain Munnerlyn. Take Mr. Roboto. Yes.
You can put it on the board. Yes. And Judd with his 13th victory of the season in Random Viking of the Week. Oh, man. How are you going to celebrate?
Oh, let's see here. How can I celebrate? You know what? COVID or not, screw
Declan's so
COVID.
mad.
I got a Surly Furious right by my side at all times. And ladies and gentlemen, I suggest you have the same. Surly Brewing, all the Surly beers are fantastic. The Furious, though, that's the official beer of the Zolgad, of Purple Daily, of everything that's good on this earth. When you're watching the Vikings, if you don't have a Surly Furious nearby, you're not doing it right. You know, speaking of the great players in Vikings history, here's the beer that you need. Surly Furious IPA, which also is sold at US Bank Stadium.
There it is, the Random Viking of the Week. Oh, Dex, I felt like you were sniffing it out. You were on the defensive side of the ball.
Dude, it was a total cornerback.
I jumped
Like,
the route.
I knew that immediately.
I jumped the route.
Oh, it's hilarious. Yeah, he goes and
Media
plays the
good guy.
slots. Goes and plays the slots at the casino. I thought that was a pretty clever hint.
That's why I thought it was a slot receiver at first.
Yeah.
Well, I
slot
figured as like he's a
defender.
gambler, as in like he's a high risk, like he
So
he
you
goes
both
for picks.
So you both didn't catch that. He was
No,
a slot,
I did
slot
not.
corner. A slot
Yeah, no,
corner,
I thought
that's right.
slot receiver,
No,
which is why I
no,
said.
I'm too dumb. I did not. I put it in a different context.
And if I'm not mistaken, although I don't think he played 10 years, Jarius Wright did jump to the Carolina Panthers, but of course
Yep.
he didn't come back here.
Yeah.
Captain went what? Carolina, Minnesota, Carolina.
Carolina.
Yep. Got Jarius Wright. I bet there's a lot of similarities. In fact, is Jarius Wright from Alabama? Let's see here. Let's pull up his. Maybe
He
he'll
went
have to make an appearance at some
Didn't
point.
he go to Bama?
Arkansas. He's from
Arkansas.
Arkansas. Okay.
Yeah.
Arkansas.
He's
Always
from
liked him.
Warren, Arkansas.
Always liked Jarius Wright. Always thought he was a nice player.
He was.
was, man.
He was good. He was a nice guy. Good dude.
Well, there it is. Random Viking of the week. Also, your 4 key offensive stats. So we'll be back at you. So tomorrow for Christmas Eve, I think we did this maybe a year or two ago, but there's a lot of new listeners too. We found the original live reaction right after as the Minneapolis Miracle was happening, vent line, and I think Judd was at the stadium covering that, and I feel like you called in at one point. It was superstar Mike Morris and myself were anchoring the coverage, and you can hear like the live fan reaction, people calling in right after the Minneapolis Miracle. We're going to post that as a Purple Rewind tomorrow on Purple Daily for a little Christmas Eve special. So 2 hours, pour a Surly and pour multiple Surlys.
Yeah, it's Christmas
right.
Eve.
Take a listen. So, all right, dudes, good discussion here. Purple Daily, daily Vikings entertainment therapy. We'll see you guys. Happy holidays.